Welcome to Classical 95.9 WCRI's Conducting Conversations with your host, Mike Mano. 1 hour of music and conversation with notable people in the arts, bringing you the stories of how music has impacted their lives. The show will give a behind-the-scenes look at the guest's background, interests, or special project.
Conducting Conversations is brought to you by Roberts Musical Instruments. From sheet music and brand name instruments to rentals, repairs, lessons, and more. Roberts Musical Instruments is your key to musical success. Call 823-5459. That's 823-5459.
And now here's your host, Mike Mano.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conducting Conversations tonight. It's a pleasure to welcome into our studios the Executive Director of LaGrua Center, Dan Brandel, is here. Welcome back, Dan.
Hi, thanks for having me again, Mike.
Nice to have you with us, and you've brought a special guest. I'll let you do the introduction of Sean. Go ahead.
Oh, my goodness. Sean Nelson from New London Big Band. I'm so excited to have him here talking about his upcoming concert in July over at our Concert on the Green series.
Well, welcome to the program, Sean. Nice to have you with us.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me.
So, the New London Big Band, we're going to find out everything about that. But let's get a little background on you. Are you a New England person?
I am now. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. I moved here.
Oh, that's too bad.
We're not going to hold that against you.
No. All right. We'll forgive you. All right.
I've been in Connecticut for the last 14 years. It's my home now. I moved up here to join the Coast Guard band. Met my wife here, and we have 4 kids. Put my roots down, so I'm starting to feel like a New Englander.
So you were in the Coast Guard, and in Dallas, Texas.
I moved here to join the Coast Guard.
And
I'm currently active
not
duty.
a lot of Coast Guard in Dallas, right?
There's a handful. You'd be
really?
surprised. Sure.
Well, okay.
Recruiters.
And does river work or lakes or? Oh, well, anyway, I'm glad to have you with us, and we want to find out about the New London Big Band. And Dan, this is a concert series that we've been talking about on the air here for at your center for many months. Lots of various concerts have come and gone.
That's
Why don't
right.
you give us a little bit of background of some of the things that were successful in the last few weeks?
Oh, what hasn't been successful? It's so great to have everybody back on the lawn. We just had Jacob Jolliffe, a great mandolin bluegrass player. And we had Mozart for Munchkins, a new New York-based family group. It was amazing, and just to have the New London Big Band back on our green, or for the first time, I should say. Members of that band, though, have performed on our green before with the Coast Guard Band, Dixieland Jazz Band, and that's kind of how I first met Sean Nelson when he first started doing stuff with the Coast Guard Band. And then when I was working with the Eastern Connecticut Symphony Orchestra, and we had a combined concert. I don't know if you remember that, Sean. Combined concert of the orchestra and the big band doing all these incredible music of that time. And I said, one day when I have a performance venue, I'm going to have the New London Big Band come, and my dream is realized right here.
Well, there you go. All right. Now, for those 2 people that are listening that don't know where your center is, give a little description about the building itself.
Sure. LaGrua Center has been around now for 17 years. It's the old foundry of a plant that used to be there in Stonington Borough. And right next door is a commons green where everybody can sit, have your picnic there, lawn chairs, and listen to some good music for an hour.
It's a great spot. I've had the privilege of performing there myself. It's a nice spot, nice people. That's a very important part of it. Absolutely. Now, your job as executive director, do you program what's coming in? I
try to a little bit, along with my program director, Kelly. We work together to try to see what's hip and new around our region and bring things outside of New England as well. But it's so great to have somebody here near us and dear to us who's so talented, like Sean Nelson and the New London Big Band.
Excellent. Sean, let's go back to you. The New London, you said you've been here about, 14 years, something like that. Okay, and is this something that you started, the New London Big Band?
I started this. I had a dream as a kid of having my own big band, and if you can, when I think about myself as a kid, big thick glasses, big nerd, played the trombone in the school band, and just loved the jazz band, and something about that sound of the band, the harmony, and the rhythm and all those instruments, it struck a chord with me, pun intended. And so over the years, I had this dream of starting my own, sort of jazz orchestra like that. So when the time came and I became a professional musician, and I had the vision to started meeting the right people, collecting the music I wanted to play, and then finding the right venue to play at, which is the Social Bar and Kitchen in New London. And so in 2016, we had our first performance there at the Social, where I called up all the best musicians, best people I could to come play, and Social hosted us, and it was just a wonderful night. And so we've been playing there one Wednesday a month ever since then. And it's just a wonderful vibe where people come and they have dinner, and there's some dancers there, and we have a dance floor open. And it's just a great hang. It's like a social hour.
What a great deal. Well, I think that ties into your first song that we're going to play to get the audience in the mood. Tell us, this is off of one of your CDs. Tell us about this song.
This song is the title track of our CD, which is called Social Hour, and it is named after the Social Bar and Kitchen, and it is also our theme song as my composition as well. It's inspired by the sound of the Count Basie Orchestra.
we certainly have everyone in the mood now with that beautiful music. And you mentioned when you were younger, with the thick glasses and the nerd, who did you look up to in the music world at that point in time?
When I was playing in the junior high jazz band, one of the songs we played was some Duke Ellington, "Take the A Train." And so I went to the CD store, which people did back in the day, and I asked the guy at Blockbuster Music, said, I want some jazz. And he's like, hold on, let me get the jazz guy. And so he got another guy, came around and said, he brought me a John Coltrane CD and a Duke Ellington CD. But the John Coltrane CD was Blue Train. And so I remember listening to that every night, beginning to end, for a year. And at first, I remember the first time I heard it was John Coltrane in some ways a little more advanced than Duke Ellington in terms of complexity. And so I listened to it and I was like, I didn't quite get it, but I knew I liked it. So I just kept listening to it. And every time I listened to it, I heard something new. So that album in particular was sort of pivotal in, my interest in jazz and my love of jazz.
And we went from there.
Sure did.
All right. Dan, I just want to make sure that people, when they're listening to this, I know they're going to be interested in music. They're going to want to attend. Let's give them a website they can go to get information.
Sure. LaGruaCenter.org.
I think you should spell that.
LaGrua Center.org.
You're right.
And that's where you can find all the information, or you can go to our social media. It's LaGrua Center. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Excellent. All right, Sean, let's pick out another tune. This is off a different CD. Tell us about this one.
This is our newest CD, which I'm very excited to share with the world. It just came out in the last month or so, and it is called Don't Stop Now, the lost music of Thad Jones, written for Harry James. And this is one of those tunes. This is the title track called Don't Stop Now.
We'll listen to that, then take a short break and be back with more. The LaGrua Center is the subject of tonight's Conducting Conversations. I'm Mike Mano, very pleased to be sitting with Dan Brandel, who is the Executive Director of the Center, and a special guest, Sean Nelson, who is the Director, Conductor. I don't think we ever got that straightened out. What title do you like, Sean? For the
Leader.
London Big Band.
Band leader.
Band leader. Okay. I don't get a lot of band leaders. Usually it's a conductor or director, but I like band leader. The leader of the band. It's kind of like, never mind. And Sean is going to be playing on July 18th, 6 o'clock. Dan, give us a little more information about that.
Yeah, so July 18th, 6 p.m. on the LaGrua Center Concert on the Green series. Our Stonington Common Green is right next to our building in Stonington Borough. You can come early, bring a picnic, and it's such a great time to have friends and family bring a little baseball or a little football and throw it around before the concert, and then listen to some good music for a nice hour, and afterwards, watch the sunset.
There you go. All right. Now, tickets hard to get?
Tickets are, they're almost sold out, I would say. No, they're all free. Everything is free with our Concert on the Green series. You have to bring your own food, but hopefully you bring some for me as well as the band, probably.
Well, yeah, I think you got to feed Sean. How many
Bring enough for everybody.
How many guys in the band?
There's 17 people in the band.
17?
Yeah.
All right, and that's including you?
It's including me.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I need 2 sandwiches.
But 18, because including me, I'm hungry too. Thank
all right,
you.
so 18 things to bring with you. That would be great. Now, wouldn't it be funny if people show up with
I wouldn't mind.
Okay, let's get back to Sean and the big band. So 17 people in the band. And do you still play the trombone? I don't think we decided that either. What?
I still play the trombone, and I'm one of the trombonists, one of 4 trombonists in the band. So I'm playing and conducting and writing some music.
Okay, and when people are putting an image in their head of what this might look like, anything like you mentioned Duke Ellington or Cab Calloway, that type of era of band, is that a good image for some people?
That's on the money, yeah. And Duke Ellington, of course, one of my original inspirations, and actually my 4th child is named Cab, after Cab Calloway.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
So the band is made up of 4 trombones.
Do you play
4
Minnie the
trumpets.
Moocher?
We don't, but we need to find the right singer.
You gotta do that. We can help you out on that.
Right? Yeah. Let's talk.
All right, let's get to some more music. This is called Tiptoe. Tell us about this one.
Tiptoe is one written by Thad Jones. The theme of the album is the lost music of Thad Jones, written for Harry James. Harry James being somebody from made famous in the big band era of the 30s and 40s. And his band continued playing through the 60s. He hired one of his arrangers from one of his favorite bands, which was Count Basie. So Thad Jones wrote this music for Harry James that was never recorded. And so this is one of the 8 tunes that we recorded that had never been recorded before, and Harry James had not recorded it. So here is one written by Thad Jones called Tiptoe.
great music that we could listen to a lot more of. But, Dan, we do need to get some information out to the audience. So tell them about some other things that are coming up.
Sure. So our Concert on the Green series continues with the New London Big Band at July 18th at 6 p.m. Then coming up after them is Friday, August 22nd at 6 p.m., Ed Fast and Conga Bop. They're a Hartford-based Afro-Cuban jazz group playing the music of Tito Puente, Kel Jader. That should be a lot of fun. And then finally, we have Friday, September 19th at 6 p.m., Kayla Farnham. She's the former Connecticut State Troubadour. She's going to do some singer-songwriter music. It's going to be a lovely end to our concert series. Again, all free, thanks to the SVIA, which is the Stonington Village Improvement Association. They're our biggest sponsors and supporters of this series, and it's wonderful to provide an area and a place for our community to listen to some great music, especially the upcoming New London Big Band with Sean Nelson.
It's a great spot. If you haven't visited there, you should. It's worth the trip. Make sure you get down there. Sean, we have time for one more piece of music before we take our next break. And this one is called, I'm sure everyone is going to know this one, Sweet Georgia Brown. This is a special arrangement?
It's my arrangement. Just one of my favorite tunes. It's just so hummable. Or whistleable, too, if you're a fan of the Harlem Globetrotters. And I wrote this for my dear friend Cedric Mayfield to play on the clarinet, which actually I wrote this one, originally arranged it for the band with the Eastern Connecticut Symphony when we did a concert a few years ago with them. And so I had adapted to the string parts so that we could play it without the orchestra. So that was the origin. So here's Sweet Georgia Brown.
All right, we'll listen to that, take another short break, and be back with more. Sean Nelson's New London Big Band is our special guest artist today on Conducting Conversations. I'm Mike Mano, sitting with Dan Brandel from the LaGrua Center. LaGrua. See how I messed that up? Now, I'm a professional. You try it.
LaGrua Center.
LaGrua Center. All right, we got that right. In beautiful downtown. Is it actually in Stonington?
It's down in Stonington Borough, right off of Water Street.
Now, is Stonington Borough part of Stonington?
Yes, that's what they tell me. Yeah,
All right.
the village is Stonington.
Well, that's why I said down in Stonington. Okay, all right. So we got that right. And Sean Nelson is here. He is the big band leader, my new terminology, for the New London Big Band. We've been listening to some great music he has provided. And the concert is going to be on July 18th at 6 o'clock, rain or shine, right?
Yeah, rain or shine. And if not, we'll go back inside our building and have a lot of fun indoors, that's for sure.
Now, indoors, Sean, have you been inside that building?
I have.
Okay. You're going to have 17 people and instruments.
No problem.
We're gonna try our best.
We'll tone it down.
We'll just pretend it's not gonna rain that night. It's gonna be a beautiful evening. Okay. And Sean, we've listened to cuts from two albums. The first one called Social Hour, and then the second one called Don't Stop Now. Can people purchase these online?
They can go over to newlondonbigband.com and purchase one, and we'll have it sent right to your house.
There you go, newlondonbigband.com. Okay, and those are the two albums that are available?
Yes, those are the two.
Okay. And information and pictures and so forth also on the website?
All on the website, also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well.
Now, if people print a picture of you from the website, can they get it autographed that night?
Of course.
All right. So there you go. Special. You have to be a WCRI listener to know that.
Nobody's ever done that, so man, to see if somebody does it, and I'll thank you, Mike.
Along with the food.
Yeah.
Remember the food.
The sandwich, yeah.
Remember the
That's right,
sandwich.
for 18.
Yes, for 18
Right,
people.
okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's get back to some music and tell us about 3 in 1.
3 in 1 is another piece composed by Thad Jones, and this version had never been recorded. It features a special guest that we brought in just for this recording. His name is Wayne Bergeron, and he's a trumpet player from Los Angeles and one of the best in the world. So he will be featured on this one.
Well, Dan, I want to thank you for bringing Sean in today. You made my day. I know that. I love this music, and the band sounds great. Can't wait to get down to your event on July 18th, 6 o'clock. Make sure you mark your calendars now. Dan, thanks for coming in today. It's been great.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to see you and talk with you, Mike, and bring some of my friends along with me.
We've got to keep doing it.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Why don't you give the website one more time
Sure,
for people to check it out?
That's LaGruaCenter.org, and it's LAGRUA Center.org.
.org, okay. And Sean, thanks so much. And what about your website?
Thanks for having me, Mike. My website is newlondonbigband.com.
There you go. All right. And we have one more tune to play. We're going to go out with this one. It's a little bit lengthy. We'll try to get the whole thing in. Tell us about it.
This one is called Hullabaloo. It is my composition, and it's going to feature myself on the trombone as well as our guest trumpeter from L.A. That's Wayne Bergeron, and it's got sort of the vibe of a sort of rowdy street party.
All right. Looking forward to it. And we'll see the rest of you next time on Conducting Conversations. Conducting Conversations was brought to you by Roberts Musical Instruments, using music in the arts to keep your child educated, entertained, and having fun. Roberts Musical Instruments is your key to musical success. Call 823-5459. That's 823-5459.